Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So today I want to ask the question, are you supposed to feel guilty for privilege? I hear a lot of people online talking about privilege, white privilege, pretty privilege, wealth privilege, and let me start off by saying privilege is bad. Okay, so now that we've established that privilege is bad, now what? Am I supposed to feel guilty for being born in one of the wealthiest countries in the world? What should I do? Should I move to another country? A lot of people will call out privileges, and then when I acknowledge, yes, I have XYZ privilege, now I'm suddenly bragging or thinking I'm better when I simply acknowledged my privilege. Being privileged doesn't make me immune to sickness. It doesn't make me immune to heartbreak or insecurities or setbacks. It doesn't mean that I don't have any flaws, and it doesn't mean that I'm not human. All I did was I admitted that I have privileges. And my question is, now what? I can't help how I was born. I can't help what country I was born in, or what skin tone I was born in, or what ethnicity I was born in. I cannot help that pretty privilege exists or that capitalism exists. I will say it again, privilege is bad, but our society as a whole is bad. Does this mean that I'm supposed to opt out of opportunities that I've been given in life? Let's say you have education privilege and you were born in a suburban background with access to good schools and you get into Harvard. Are you supposed to reject that scholarship and reject the opportunity to go to one of the best schools in the world because you only got there based on privilege? Power is not going anywhere. Privilege is not going anywhere. People say acknowledge your privilege, but then when you do, you're suddenly bragging. People will also say, use your privilege to bring awareness to others who are less fortunate. But then when you do, like Thandie Newton or Zendaya, you get dragged. People say use your privileges to open doors for others, but then when you do, you only got to where you are because of your privileges. So which one is it? I know that privilege is bad. I know that the society we live in is corrupt, but what I'm trying to talk about on this channel is how to navigate in a corrupt society. So if you happen to be born with things that can give you advantages so that you can level up yourself and then turn around and help others, why not? Other people are using whatever privileges they have to attain the lives that they want, and the same people who talk crap about people like the Kardashians or people who were born wealthy and privileged, those same people would gladly be born into a billionaire family if they could. They would gladly take $1 billion if they won the lottery. So a lot of people, when they talk about privilege or they shame others for simply being born with that privilege, what they're really doing is they're not offering a solution to the problem. What they really want is they wish they could trade places with you, but because they can't, they feel like shaming you is going to somehow soothe them. I'm not saying that the concept of privilege in and of itself is a good thing, but here on this channel, I talk a lot about dark femininity. And so dark femininity is really just embracing the dark sides of yourself or kind of turning corruption on its head, using the things that you have and the advantages that you have to get ahead in life so that you can live the life that you want. I think that a lot of people, when they talk about the privileges that they don't have, what they're really talking about is the privilege that they want the most. A lot of people, they tend to focus on what they want the most, and when they don't have it, that's what makes them feel that insecurity. So if you have low self-esteem, you have two options. Either number one, admit that you revolve your self-esteem around XYZ and that you don't inherently meet that standard, and then change yourself to get XYZ. This is why we see women becoming pick-me's. This is why we see people getting plastic surgeries, immigrating to new countries. This is why we see men doing things like looks maxing or lying in order to get sex. And you know what? If that's the life you choose, that's your business. So either change yourself to get XYZ, whatever it is you're revolving your self-esteem around, or number two, stop revolving your self-esteem and happiness around XYZ and stay exactly where you are and learn to be happy with it. Those are the only two options. Attempting to shame others out of meeting XYZ standard or having XYZ privilege, that will not work. If you live in a third world country, shaming and hating on Americans won't fix your circumstances. Bashing the pretty girls won't help you. Bashing the dating market won't help you. Either get what you want by any means necessary or accept that you'll never have it and move on. That's it. Those are the only two options. And I think that a lot of people, they're too ashamed or too embarrassed to actually change themselves to get what they want. Like a lot of people, especially people of color, I've noticed that there's this whole sellout narrative. Like, oh, so-and-so black person that became rich, they're a sellout. Oh, Kayla Nicole and Justine Skye and all these women who hang out with white girls, they're sellouts. oh, if you hang out with XYZ people, or if you social climb, or if you level up in any way, you somehow had to sell out in order to get what you wanted. These women who become sex workers, or they flaunt their beauty, they flaunt their bodies to get what they want, they're a sellout. I noticed that narrative is pervasive in communities of color or underprivileged communities. And a lot of people, they want to shame you for doing what you feel you had to do in order to get ahead. But in my opinion, that's really just a crabs in a bucket mentality, because those same people that shame you for being rich, they would easily trade places with Kayla Nicole if they could. They would easily date NFL players if they could. They would easily be a superstar sports journalist and influencer if they could. They would easily trade places with the Kardashians and be born rich if they could. So I feel like it's really just a crabs in a bucket mentality, and they're hiding behind the concept of privilege, because the same people that revolve their lives around not having a certain privilege, those same people, they bestow privilege on others all the time. So you talk about how, oh, black men are colorists, but you bestow Chad privilege. You know how they talk about Chads and like those guys are the most attractive? You bestow the privilege of being a Chad on white men. So you talk crap about pick-me's, but then you're a pick-me for white men. You talk crap about lots of other groups of men, but then you're a pick-me for rich men. So you are bestowing privilege on rich men. You are bestowing privilege on white men by pedestalizing those men. So I don't want to hear any more talk about, oh, I don't have XYZ privilege, because humans naturally, on a subconscious level, are bestowing privilege on others all the time. Why do you go up to cute babies and say, oh my God, you're so cute. Oh, you're so beautiful. You just bestowed pretty privilege upon that baby. Why do you hype up certain music artists and then you ignore other music artists? Every time you give someone extra attention, every time you give someone a special treatment, you are actually bestowing privilege upon that person. Why do you apply for one company to work for over another? Because you, whether you realize it or not, you are putting that company on a pedestal, because you're like, hey, I want money or whatever. This company has something I do not have. And so now I'm going to give them special treatment by dressing up for them in the interview. I'm going to wear a blazer. I'm not going to wear my pajamas. All of those things are subconscious forms of bestowing privilege upon another person or another entity. So all of these people who like to say, oh my God, privilege is so bad. Oh, it's so corrupt. You're participating in it without even realizing it. People love complaining about capitalism. They love complaining about the country that they live in, but you're still living in that country. So, and I'm not even trying to shame people for doing these things. I'm just saying that privilege will always exist. Pedestals will always exist. The concept of power, social status, those things will always exist. So you can either get in the game or you can stay on the sidelines, and you can choose to opt out if you want to, but then just don't get upset when you feel like you are quote unquote at the bottom, because that is actually just a side effect of not participating in the game and not understanding the rules of how the society works that we live in. There will always be social norms. There will always be social rules that people are abiding by, whether they realize it on a conscious level or not. Everybody pedestalizes somebody or something or some sort of entity. So you can either be on the side of the people who are kind of being pedestalized or getting what they want, or you can choose to opt out. But then, just don't get mad when the people who are opting in and actually playing the game and succeeding, just don't get mad when those people get to benefit from quote unquote pretty privilege, or they benefit from being feminine, or they benefit from having a good social network, or from attaining wealth. Just don't get mad when those people get the privilege of having good credit, or they have the privilege of living in the suburbs, or from being educated. Everything that you're actually doing on a daily basis is either contributing to a certain form of privilege or it's taking away from a form of privilege. So which side do you want to be on? Let me know what you think of this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.